Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7 for Sits and Gigs. This week I have Mr. Rob Barron.
Hello.
Hello Robbie.
What's going on?
Good. How are things for you, mate?
Yes, well at the moment, man. Really good. Positive. Sun's out. It's a good day.
Sun's out. We've got beers.
We got beers. Happy
Hell
days.
yes.
Happy days.
I know you better than most, I would like to think.
You do know me quite well.
But for the people watching and hearing about you for the first time, please take us back in time to when you first started your music endeavours and tell us the story.
Okay. So, I, as a child, got into singing at a really young age. Always really enjoyed it, and was fortunate enough to having parents and family that helped me pursue that. So started sort of singing lessons at a really young age. It wasn't until I think around 13, 14 where I started getting into like instruments. So picked up bass around that age, 14. And it was great, like fortunate enough, the teacher I was learning off, Steve Plater, allowed me to join his blues band. So sort of like first sort of like gigging experience, which was really cool. So played with those guys for, I want to say 2 years with that particular band. Around the same time, got into learning guitar. Started up a 3-piece band called State of Mind, which was mostly,
I remember.
Yeah. So we did. So that was sort of more like I guess. A different sort of style, like our sort of a more younger, modern sort of style of covers and things like that. That's where I got to meet Matt, who I played with for at least 11 years now. We've had a lot of history together. It's been good. Fast forward to 2018, did a little TV show called X Factor. So that was a fun experience, got to do that. What else did we get to do? It's more so been, I don't know. I get so nervous, man.
I know, you're on the spot.
It's on the spot. I just think there's been a lot that's happened. That's probably a good rundown. Like, yeah.
Well, the 3-piece itself evolved over the years.
It did.
Changed names, changed
Changed
members, to now basically mainly just you and Matt at this stage.
For the last give or take 2 years without COVID.
Yep.
It's been,
and it's been an interesting sort of voyage as far as like musically. Like it started, you started with blues influence, went to doing rock covers basically, to hard rock music in general. You started writing and things like that. To coming back to covers but having a more expansive set, I like to think, than what you originally did. Like now you're doing pop, rock, bit of country, whatever, whatever
sure,
sort of, whatever you can get your sort of hands on, really, you've been doing, and mashups as well, which was always cool. You guys would make up mashups on stage and that'd be sick. So, start of this year, you guys were still gigging as a 2-piece. You did New Year's, I think.
Yes,
right?
correct.
Did New Year's and then a few gigs at the start of the year for the deck and things like that. Wasn't
it? It was really good playing around town.
And then obviously the fun stuff happened.
2020 started.
2020 started in March. Tell me how that has sort of affected everything.
Excuse my friends, but like without the gigs, it was really shit. Like it really was. Sort of coming out of a time where Matt and I were playing, quite regularly and frequently, and sort of had like a bit of a rotation going around. And then for that to sort of come to a blinding halt was not the best. And I guess also, I didn't I realize it so much more now, but like didn't really appreciate the gigs so much as I do, like having a huge break.
Having lost it, basically.
Like I can speak personally. Like like really did sort of like take it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been sort of like a really big perspective that I've gained this year. Like, you know, like, and even just going out, friends, socializing, like, I don't know, you sort of like take all that for granted, and then it was like this year come around and it's sort of thrown that huge perspective to go, you know.
Well, when it is such like an integral part of your life, it's, you know, such a big passion, like, yeah, a hit like that can really change things for you. Like, not just go, oh, music's gone. Like, it's a part of your life, you know. Like,
yeah, man.
But through this, you've also been creative, correct? You've done some things here and there.
In some ways, man. Like when COVID first started, was sort of just sort of like passion projects, and personally, you know, getting a lot back to just playing with like loop pedals and things like that. Really love that. Sort of just that instrumental, just jamming. It's just like, so I remember when COVID started, like a lot of my time was just practicing and playing like that. I've thought whether to, you know, do sort of like a, in the future, a solo sort of like instrumental project like that, just sort of like, because I think it would sort of just branch out of the that cover and sort of hard rock style of things. Yeah, this year's been funny, man. It's a strange year, bro. Yeah. I think, sorry, to the question. So recently I was able to feature on a local hip-hop producer and artist, Disciple, or Elton Allen. He did a EP. He's got his like home studio set up, so I was able to you know, do some recording there, which was awesome. I love being in the studio. Like, it was really good to just get back into recording. You know, if I had it my way, I'd always be in a studio all the time. Like, yeah, it's just, no, I really enjoy it. So, and that was a really good experience, because, you know, breaking out of that that mold, trying something completely new, like hip hop sort of thing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like, it came as a shock to me when you told me about it, and then after like listening to a few tracks, I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. It works. You know, it's just another niche that you can find yourself flow into. But just to be able to break out and do that as, you know, as a solo artist is impressive as it is. You know, like, not many people are willing to cross that line. You know. If they're in rock, they don't want to go near hip hop, you know, unless it's new metal.
I love some new metal. Like, props to Elton, man, for reaching out, sort of thing. Because originally when he asked me, I think it could have been 2018 originally when I first met him, sort of thing. You know, like, you want to do like a hip hop thing, and like at the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work, because I knew nothing about the style. You know, I was sort of like, I was a little bit hesitant, like myself, sort of thing. And again, like, sort of, it was just in this time of COVID, and he sent us a message and said, hey, I've got this track, you know, like, let's see what we can put together. And I remember hearing, I don't know, just like a chorus just sort of came to mind, and it just sort of fell into place like that. It was really cool, man.
And like, I got a few of our friends to listen to it, and everyone thought the same thing. It's cool. It's different. Like, even if you're not like me, like, I wouldn't say I'm big on hip hop or anything like that, but it was a cool perspective to hear one of your friends do it. You know, like, fast forward to, well, now as of this recording, it's the last day of November. I think.
Correct.
Gigs are back.
Yes.
A few select pubs are putting on acoustic acts again, which is fantastic. You have had your first gig officially, back with Matty at Black Hill.
Yes, correct.
How was that?
Amazing. Awesome. Weather held off, given that there was meant to be, there was thunderstorms that day, but it was amazing to be back playing and being around people, and honestly, like, and playing with Matt. Like, I really enjoy working with Matt. Like, been for so long, you know, been through so much together. It's just, I don't know, I feel like we've worked together so long, it's almost like that package deal sort of thing. Like, we work really well with each other, and so it was awesome.
people trying to get in the pub. Sorry, it's just for us. We're spoiled. So you may not know the answer to this question. Mm-hmm. It's all up in the air. It's still at the moment, but things are relaxing. So what do you think is next? What's next on the cards?
Next musically, I think definitely need to sort of get back into writing. I should have, like, in hindsight is this year, isn't it? But that, you know, should have used that off period to get more into writing and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping going forward we'll be able to start, you know, crunching some songs out and things like that and getting some more original material. Like, we've learnt some you know, new cover material, but I think going forward it's definitely a priority of mine to get some writing done.
Yep.
And put our own stuff out there. I think because we've sort of been a bit lazy and haven't done that for, you know, for a long time. We haven't put things out of our own original material.
Well, yeah. And you're always, I mean, originally for me, like, getting into music, you're always the person that I came to every time I had something written down that I wanted an opinion on, because as I said to Sean last week, I am 100% my own worst critic, and I think most musos think the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it's always good to have that perspective. But it was mainly because I loved your songwriting as well. Like, all the music that you guys did together and released, I loved. Like, there was no, you know, I'm not trying to suck up your ass or anything. No, like, it's just, it was right up my alley music wise. Like, the hard rock, the genre, you know, all of it was the kind of music I grew up listening to. So yeah, I always felt like you were the perfect person to come to musically, even if my music wasn't like that. Like, even if it didn't have a melody at the time, it was just like, tell me.
So, yeah, like, it's one of my, like, I really love working with like artists. Like, if you come for, like, I find it a lot more easier to like, in that collaborative effort sort of thing. Like, if someone's got chord progressions or something like that, like, to be able to work with that rather than me, like, you know, that saying, like, paralysis by analysis sort of thing.
Yeah,
like you said, like, we're all our own worst critics sort of thing. So it's good to, like, you know, like, I miss when another three-piece Third Stone Collision, like, working with Steve Ward. Like, Steve and I sort of did the sort of majority of the writing with that. We just sort of flowed so well off each other, like, that collaborative effort.
We'll talk about you getting more into writing again. Mm-hmm. Actually, what I was going to say was, yes, I could almost picture you at some stage. I mean, you know, obviously, like, when you feel like it, but I could almost picture you, like, in a mentorship role at this stage as well, like, coaching people through writing and giving feedback and things like that. Like,
I feel like it'd be like, what is it? Imposter Syndrome. Like, no, because, like, because I'm not doing the writing myself. Like, I'd love to be able to, like, help people in that way, but I also feel like, yeah, it's that imposter thing of, like, you know, like, well, you know, why aren't you writing yourself, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, but I love that collaborative effort, man. Like, it's just, really gel with it.
And that's something, like, I've been talking about with a few people so far on the podcast so far, is the collaborative effort that's happening at the moment between the music scene, because we've all been royally screwed. So, like, Zara starting up Soundcheck, fantastic effort by, like, the younger music community in Ballarat, which will broach a whole heap of musicians together. And then at some stage I'll be talking to Bomber about the Australian Songwriting Association and what's happening there as well. So more collaborative stuff coming for that. It's been, as shit as the year's been, there's been a lot of good that's come out of it, I think, in that sense. Yeah,
I think there has been, I mean, on the surface it's been shit, but I think there's been a lot of sort of blessings in disguise that have happened. Just, like, even in just personal life, man, like, just, like, you know, meeting like-minded people, like like online, like again, because everything, you know, Zoom and things like that, like, yeah, it has, there's been a lot of blessings. So, I don't know, is it good, is it bad? I don't know. And we're also extremely lucky, like, you know, here in Ballarat sort of thing, like it wasn't affected.
Yeah,
like, we're extremely lucky.
We are kind of blessed being in regional Victoria. I think the answer to that question is going to come next year. I think finding out whether this year has been good or bad for the music scene as a whole, I think we will find. Yeah, I think next year will tell exactly what's happened and what kind of either rift it's created or what new thing has come out of it. You know.
Yeah.
Which rolls into the question I ask everyone on the podcast. What do you think is the biggest thing that you will bring out of this year, take from it?
So, like I said before, I guess like that appreciation, like, I don't know, like, you know, you don't know what you got until it's gone, so to say. And like that was, I definitely felt that with the music this year, like sort of rolling into this year, like gigs were consistent and everything like that, and then just having like nothing. And it was sort of ironic because around the time when things started opening back up was when we had, you know, booked in advance too. So it was sort of ironic in that way.
Yeah, I suppose it's that age-old question that like you never think would ever have an answer, is, you know, what happens when the music goes away? Like,
yeah, man.
It's no one expected something like that, and yeah, to have lost it and then gone, oh shit, you know. Yeah, it's a huge thing. But I think you're right. Yeah, I think a new appreciation for what it is. Even the smallest things like a Friday night gig, you know. It's huge.
Yeah.
That pretty much wraps up our interview portion of this podcast. Because we're good mates, I didn't want to just interview you. I wanted to just riff shit up.
Let's have a chat.
I did a bit of research on this year's music as a whole, and I think I might do a separate podcast at some stage, going through and seeing what people's like top album was of the year and things like that before the end of the year, like maybe like a New Year's thing or something like that. Because as I've talked to a few people about, there hasn't been a whole lot of music that's come out this year comparatively, and a lot of it has been covers. But I had a few choice ones here, and I just wanted you to try and think in your mind what year I'm describing when I name these artists. Right?
Okay.
So we've got Seether, System of a Down, Marilyn Manson, Evanescence, The Used, Hollywood Undead, Deftones.
So I'm looking for a year that these albums were released.
Era, you know.
I mean, I would imagine this is in like, I'm thinking 90s and 2000s. That's just what I think in my mind. But I'm thinking of albums wise.
You'd be thinking like the new metal era.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like early 2000s. Every one of those artists released a new album this year. This year. Or has one on the way before the end of the year. But every single one of those artists released a new album this year, which is like, there's quite a few there that have had a gap. And in saying that...
When was System's last album?
So System just released 2 new tracks. I think they haven't released anything for... Oh shit. It was like 10 years or something.
Wow, man.
Maybe a bit less, but yeah, it was about 10 years.
I'll have to suss that, man.
And then on the other side I had, also this year, Green Day, back together, recorded an album.
Okay, cool.
Pearl Jam, brought out a new album. Bush, Powderfinger, got back together for the first time in 10 years, did a live stream, and then brought out an album with a couple of new tracks and a whole heap of B-sides.
Okay.
Yep. Acdc, just brought out an album, which is actually a ripper of an album. Like, I'm not huge on Acdc, but being Australian, it's kind of bred into you at some stage.
Yep.
But yeah, I just thought like, Like there is a lot more than that, but those were the key ones that I just went, crap, what year is it? Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't comprehend.
That's crazy, man.
It's weird. It's weird. It's like so many of these consistent bands didn't release anything and just sort of didn't get together and released a few covers and things like that. And then you've got these bands that haven't released in ages. That have decided this was the year to bring something
bring
out.
an album out.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I'm definitely really surprised with the system. I didn't know Powderfinger did a live stream.
Yeah,
that's crazy,
so that
man.
happened, I want to say during our second lockdown,
Okay.
regional.
Okay.
Because I was actually here at the pub and I knew they were going to do a live stream for charity, and it was the first time playing in 10 years, and I was like, oh, super rap.
Yeah,
so I was a
absolutely.
huge Powderfinger fan. Yeah. So I set up the smart TV with YouTube, and I got through about 1.5 songs before the internet at the pub shit itself.
That old chestnut.
And I had to switch to my phone, but it was good. And really, like, they recorded from, I think everyone was in a different place.
Oh,
like,
what?
Not like no member of the band was in the same spot. And musically it sounded phenomenal. It sounded like they'd never broken up. You know?
Like, how would they sync that? Like, I don't know how they would have done that. That's amazing.
It's like, you know, someone was in like an empty concert hall.
Yeah.
Someone was in their jam room at home. You know, like,
that is so cool, man.
Yeah. But that's like another thing like you can talk about this year is like some of the people that have jumped on the technology side of things and just went live streaming, bang, yep, we're onto it, you know, is ridiculous. Like people switched very fast. Like I was grateful that I had this sort of set up ready to go, but like Mark, who just dropped in, like owns an IT store, and he was just selling out of webcams and mics and stuff non-stop because everyone needed one all of a sudden, you know.
Absolutely, man, absolutely.
Speaking of this year's music, how is there anything that sort of piqued your interest this year? Any new releases, or did you find some new bands or projects?
Absolutely, man. I absolutely love. There's American artist called John Lewis. Absolutely in love with his material. Like
that whole album is fucking good.
I have not heard the full album. I've ordered it. It's on the way.
Yeah.
I sort of like because they've got their sort of company or distribution company. There it is, called Despicable Company. There's too many D's in that sentence. And I was so impressed at the way, because it's their own label sort of thing. Yep. So impressed at their marketing and everything like that. Like and the videos and the content they were putting out. I just kind of made like a self-pact with myself. Like I need to buy the album first, and I want to have that physical thing before I don't want to just, especially this day and age, man. Like with like streaming and stuff like that. With these artists, you know, if music is their livelihood, like I wanted to support. This artist in particular, like all artists should be supported, but I just found a real love with this guy.
And that's the thing, like we know the background processes of Spotify and things like that and how much they actually earn off it, so it makes sense. You got me onto John Lewis, and I 100%, I started a playlist today of my albums of 2020 so that I have something to present at the end of the year as well, but that album is in there 100%, and it's probably the most different from everything else that's in that playlist, to be honest. Like a lot of it's, you know, rock and hard rock and metal and things like that, and then there's John, and he's just such a talented writer and vocalist, but his vocals are also so different to a lot of other things I've heard previously. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, just his written material is so good. I'm
so grateful. Like I don't know, like, you know, like things just sort of fall into your life at the right time, and like that album, you know, when I found it, was like, it just spoke to me in a way I can't explain. It was just like, love this guy. So there's
I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there's one track on the album that's exactly like that for me. Like it just speaks to me, and I just every time I hear the words, I'm like, oh God, I love this. You know,
man,
it just fits. Anything else off the top of your head that you can think of?
As far as like, it hasn't been sort of finding like a new artist or album sort of this year. Definitely like really gotten into believe an Australian band, Tonight Alive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like again, sort of their songs, they just fell in at the right time, and I'm like, oh my god, where have these guys been all my life? You know what I mean? Like,
I saw Tonight Alive at one of their first ever Melbourne gigs, because they're from Sydney.
Okay.
One of their first ever Melbourne gigs, they were supporting, I say, Lost Prophets.
Okay, cool.
So however many years ago that was, that was quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was right around that time where Paramore had peaked.
Right.
Like there was this huge female-fronted band that was just smashing up the radio and everything, and I think like they'd released, it's probably 2 to 3 albums at that point, and I saw this band for the first time, and I was like, it's like I hate relating people to other bands. But I was like, it's such an Australian Paramore.
Yeah, no, they
but Jenna, I think her name is.
Yep, Jenna.
There was something so different about her as well, though. Like she really had this rock aesthetic to her vocals that like Hayley Williams just sort of started to steer away from, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was really interested to see where they'd go from there, and definitely became a really top shelf band. I would recommend them to anyone.
Yes.
Any other things that maybe that you've just discovered that have been around for a while?
It's mainly been like, also like completely sort of left of field. Like this year, especially got into some like Hindustani music, like rags and stuff like that. Man, it's like wow. Like there's an instrument that like I would love to be able to purchase one at some point. They're called a sarangi, which is like it's a 3 or 4 main-stringed instrument with I don't know how many sympathetic strings, but there's a lot of strings on this instrument, and like most instruments played with the fingertips, this instrument's played with the cuticles.
Yeah, right.
And it's a bowed instrument. It sounds absolutely gorgeous, man. And just that sort of breaking out of that I guess that Western music, like it's beautiful, man. Like the Eastern stuff, like, and I found it definitely this year, like found a really like big appreciation for it.
I'm opening up a little bit more, but it's more the people that are coming across and mixing their Eastern heritage into the modern scene. So like I have a massive soft spot for baby metal, which is, it's completely in Japanese, 100% in Japanese, and it's 3 young girls with a full metal band behind them.
Sure.
It's so good. It's just really good. I don't know how to describe it, but even with the Japanese aesthetic behind it as well, like some of the instruments that they use in the background and things like that, that just make it. And also, I can't remember the name of the band to save my life, but I think it's the 3 Mongolian blokes that have started. They play some heavier stuff as well, and they also do a lot of the throat singing.
I know who you're speaking of.
I started getting into them as well. And they're phenomenal. Like it's another thing that's a bit left. Like it's not completely left of field for me, but it's a bit left of field. And I'm definitely appreciating that sort of thing more and more and opening up to it. But I've found myself this year, definitely going backwards. Like I've built a playlist of albums of the year for sure, but I've been listening to a lot of Default. Like
True.
Old and new, like just their discography in general, really. I have a new appreciation for that band, whereas most people will find them a one-hit wonder from the 90s. And another one I discovered this year was Candlebox, which I mentioned on the podcast last week. Whichever episode it is, I think Sean. But they were like a 90s Seattle grunge band that just wasn't popular over here, like in Australia. Like they didn't get any airplay on the radio or anything like that.
Right.
But they're also someone that once the grunge scene sort of ended, they just flowed straight into rock, and they became more technical with the guitar solos and their riffs, and vocally, like it was a lot more clear and cleaner, and like, you know, blasting vocals, like phenomenal band. Absolutely phenomenal, and they're still writing now. I think they just released a new single or something, but if there was one band I'd recommend that I'd sort of rediscovered or found this year, it'd be Candlebox. 100%.
Check them out, man.
I think that's... like I said, I'll talk about the newer stuff at some stage, but I definitely... I don't know. Release radar is my favourite thing that comes from Spotify for me. Is like each week I find out what's new, and a lot of it was just covers of stuff at the time. I built an entirely new playlist just off covers that were released this year. But Spotify is great in the sense that it has bridged me to a lot of new artists that it'll think I like and help me discover them. One of the new ones I do want to talk about actually. There's Small Town Titans, I think is their name. And I found them through a Facebook ad of all things, a sponsored post that just kept popping up.
John Lewis, that's how I found.
And I was like, leave me alone. Until I clicked into it, and I think it's like their first major release has just come out, the first full album, and it is phenomenal. It is. I've definitely found like one of my new bands. 100%. They are amazing. Like, and they range. The guy vocally, like I want to say when he's singing, his rock vocals sounds a lot like Brent from Shinedown.
Okay.
But then he also goes heavier and harder when he pushes it, and when he softens up, their music turns more southern rock, like a slightly country rock.
Cool.
So in this, I want to say 8-track, 10-track album, it really changes from southern rock to hard rock to I don't even know how to explain it. But they do, like, they've got a power ballad, and then they do a cover of Sex and Candy by Macy Playground, which is very different. Like, I don't know a single person that doesn't like singing Sex and Candy. It's a pretty classic track, but it's a different spin on it, and it's just a little bit chunkier in the riff, and it just, I don't know, it puts this heavy funk sort of twist into it.
That's good, man.
So I think Small Town Titans, I want to say they're called. Something like that. That's my recommendation. Their album just came out. But
Candlebox and Small Town Titans.
Yes. I better clarify that actually. But because I'd hate to... there it is, because I've been listening to it. Straight after that. I think we're pretty good for time. Anything else you would like to add to discuss?
I think we've covered like this year quite well, man. No, this has been so chill. It's been really good. I was really nervous at the start. I really was, man.
Hence the beer.
Well,
I mean, it's any excuse to have a beer.
Well, that's true.
On a day like today. It's my weekend. It's fine. It's okay. Even though it's Monday for normal people. No, you're most welcome. I told you it'd be pretty stress free, and you will have to keep that in your mind, because if you think you're not coming back, you're kidding yourself, because you're definitely coming back.
Absolutely love to come back.
I think I keep saying this every week, but once we finish the interview portion, the actual general podcast starts, I think I'd love to have you on just to riff about music and stuff like that, and what's happening in the scene and the news and things like that. And obviously if you've got a project you want to promote, or if something happens,
sure, man,
team me up, come on. Other than that, I think think that's it.
I just got to quickly say as well, just for thank you for doing this, man. Thank you for doing this for the scene in Ballarat, man.
It's really a win-win for me. Like it's a passion project. It's something that I get to just contribute to the scene when I'm not doing anything, when I'm not organising gigs and I'm not gigging myself. It's a good way to contribute to the scene. But I know how everyone feels. I don't do paid gigs for a living, but I do like to organise events and make coin off that. So I have also somewhat come off the back foot for all of this. So I know how everyone feels, and I just want to help people get their story out. You know, anyone can record a video and put it on Facebook, but sometimes, most of the time, people just don't want to do it. So this is my way of just letting everyone tell their story a bit, and obviously, like, if they have been working on something, they want to be proud of it, they want to promote it. It's free. Just come and chat for an hour, half an hour. So
nice and fun. It's good.
Yeah.
I love it, bro.
No, thank you. And thank you for everyone that's been tuning in too. I think we're tracking quite well. Please share around with your friends, tell your friends. It's on YouTube every Wednesday, and I have been looking into Spotify. I do have to get a distributing license for that though, I believe, so bear with me. But I know a lot of people consume their podcasts through Spotify these days, so I will make that change. Also, by the time this airs, I think I might start uploading mine and Az's covers to the YouTube channel as well, just to break it up a bit, so it's not just the podcast every week. I might release a few covers in batches as well onto the channel. So keep an eye out for music as well as the podcast, as well as anything else we might play around with, because it's my channel and I'll do what I want. Subscribe. Hit that bell. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.